This is your Chargers linebacker, Daiyan Henley, and you're tuning in with Chargers Unleashed.
Welcome to another edition of Chargers Unleashed. Jake Hefner and Daiyan Wolkenstein here with you from the LAFB Network. If this is your first time tuning in the show, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Daiyan Wolkenstein. Better late than never, we say. This is what takes place when you try to do a show during the holiday week, when you've got friends and family in town. Thanksgiving takes precedence over a lot of things, obviously. We hope that you all had a great holiday week. But Dan, T-minus, what, 4 hours till kickoff, pretty much. We had to try to get
5 hours.
5 hours. Thanks. Even my math isn't properly mathing at 8:35 in the morning, but we had to obviously try to get one preview show in before the Chargers coming back off of the bye, going up against their divisional opponent, Las Vegas Raiders, coming to town. Dan, this is going to be an interesting game in general. Obviously, the Chargers coming off of the humiliating loss against the Jacksonville Jaguars had to sit with that taste in their mouth over the last 2 weeks, and they have a tough stretch to finish out this season beyond just this Raider game. And you never can take a Raider game for granted. Everybody gets hyped up for Raider Week, FTR. We always understand what it means, but the Raiders will always come out and play the Chargers tough in one aspect or another, and it'll be closer than the game in reality should be. But this is the game that the Chargers need to get a lot of things back on track, whether we're talking about Justin Herbert's performance, this offensive line, to have some semblance of improvements working forward. We'll see what takes place on that today. Defensively, you need to come back after the performance that you had against Jacksonville and just let them run all over you. So a lot of things that we have to break down as it relates to this upcoming matchup this afternoon. But Daiyan Wolkenstein, first and foremost, how are you, sir?
Whew, I'm good. It's been a minute. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy holidays to you and yours. Jake's been a while, but excited to get this thing moving.
It's been a while.
It is a big game.
Yeah.
It's a big game. I call it a must-win, and we'll talk about why here in a bit. Folks in the chat, you know the drill. If you have any questions, thoughts, comments, put them in the chat, and we will do our best to answer and discuss as we go through. We are live. If you haven't done so already, hit that like and subscribe. Helps us out a ton. We got some voicemails here as well that we'll sprinkle in. You got us here until 9:30 Pacific time. Jake, this week kind of started off pretty well for the Chargers already because some of the other games, Chiefs lose,
Ravens lost. Playoff percentage points go up from 60 to 64 if they're able to secure a win.
Just do your job, damn it. Like
exactly. So simple to say, but so difficult to predict.
Jake, how are your feelings ahead of this Raiders game? What's your confidence level?
My confidence level should be like at a 95, but I feel like I need to temper expectations a little bit to bring it down to maybe like the mid 70s. And for a variety of different reasons. Again, the Chargers should come back pissed off for this game. They really should, given the way that they played against Jacksonville. And every single facet of that game, including Justin Herbert's own performance, should be motivation enough. But you've got some now inner workings around, again, a different offensive line combination coming into this game. Jamari Sawyer looks to get the start at the left tackle position, so you hope to see some improvement considering the fact that he has done that before in stepping in for Rashawn Slater in previous years. So you hope to see some improvement at the left tackle spot. You would hope that that would also improve Zion Johnson's play, which should have a trickle-down effect elsewhere. The Mekhi Becton story that Chris Rim drops yesterday, that raised an eyebrow or two. There's nothing that really sounds good on that. So we'll might dive a little bit deeper into that as the show goes along. But Dan, you know this, it's only going to go as far as the offensive line goes. And even still, when the offensive line has been good, as you take it back to week 2 earlier this season, when the offensive line was a strength for this team, you can't put anything past Max Crosby. Max Crosby comes to play every single time and always seems to get to Justin Herbert one way or another. And so the offensive line is really going to dictate the pace for this game. And then defensively, Dan, it'll be interesting to see, especially after the Raiders decided to move on from Chip Kelly, what this offense is going to look like. Is there going to be any new wrinkles that they're going to be showing offensively for the Raiders? You heard Jim Harbaugh's comments earlier this week and talking about preparing for that and what their mentality is like. Jesse Minter, I would assume, wants to get back to a winning formula after giving up the points that he did in that Jacksonville game. But this will be a very, again, I don't think it's going to be as one-sided as some people predict. It's still going to be a close game. I still have it actually being a one-score game, to be perfectly honest. But the Chargers should take care of business today. I don't think that there's any way around it. When you look at everything that's off the line, coming off of that loss in Jacksonville, you should be ready to go off of the bye week for this.
You should be. This is one of those weeks, and honestly, it's been like this for a while, and I'm starting to see some trends this season where it feels like this Chargers team, like for the most part, right? Like I think we all understand, like for the most part, again, if this team were to succeed, these are the things that have to happen. As long as this Chargers team can blank, 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 this Chargers team should win. And we've seen that prove correct for good and for bad, right? If this Chargers team can protect Justin Herbert, if this Chargers offense can do the quick screens, the quick games to help Justin avoid some of the pressure, if they can extend the launch points for Justin, if the running game can show itself, if the defense can be who we thought it was, like these are all ifs. And so when you hear and when you see this Chargers fandom talk about, the Chargers are definitely going to win as long as blank. How many times this
have
season
we said that sentence?
Have we said that? And how many times this season? And there's only 4 losses. But how many times have those ifs completely crapped the bed? Like,
yeah. How did you feel in those first couple minutes of the Tennessee game? That looked about as nightmarish of a start as you could imagine for that game. And thankfully, the Chargers ended up pulling it out. But you start that game with a pick six and a punt return for a touchdown to spot the Titans 14 points. Yeah. And sometimes you're able to overcome those mistakes. But when you get into this stretch right now where wins are at a premium and when you need it for playoff contention, Dan, there's no margin for error here.
No, I mean, there might be a little margin. There might be a little margin for this game, right? A little margin. But we'll get into it. Jake, do you want to start? You know what? It's still early. I haven't had my coffee this morning. Have you?
What time did you wake up?
An hour and a half ago.
And you haven't had your coffee yet? That is very un-Wolkenstein-like.
I know. I'm actually going to message my wife to see if she could be a savior and bring some over here.
Be a delivery.
Yes. Until then, I'm kind of sleepwalking. But Jake, let's talk about our friends over at Sleeper.
We'll want to remind everybody that the NFL season obviously is gearing up for the playoffs, which means you can now have a chance to win up to 1,000 times your cash on daily fantasy football with Sleeper. Football has never been more exciting than it is right now with players like Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert. Pick on these stats for these stars like touchdowns, passing yards, receiving yards, fantasy points, and more for up to 1,000 times on Sleeper. Get your picks right and you can win big. Just use the promo code Chargers LAFB and you can get $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. Use for details. Currently operating in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today.
So, I don't know if it was me, but that was very pixelated, and I didn't hear you come in very well. But sorry, Sleeper. Sorry, friends. Chargers going up against the Las Vegas Raiders. Jake, you with us?
I'm with you.
Oh,
you can't see me?
Okay. Oh, there we are. Hi. No morning beverages yet. I know. I'm sorry. I know. I'm working on it. I'm sorry. Where do we want to start? Should we start? A lot of people talking about the Becton stuff. Should we start with the Becton ramifications?
Yeah, let's start about this story because very interesting piece to drop, obviously, on a Saturday right before the Chargers game, coming off the bye from Chris Rim, for those of you that saw it. It's kind of like which side are we to believe of what's going on in this circumstance? So the story, if any of you didn't see it from Chris Rim, broke yesterday on ESPN, and basically covering some decisions to allegedly for what Mekhi Becton was talking about, and the coach's decision to take him out during the Jacksonville game after they noticed a limp from him after a certain play. But in truth, it seems like there's some things that are going on a little bit deeper than just that type of situation. You hear some comments from Mekhi Becton, talking about wanting to go back into the game, his perspective in general as it relates to playing time, not playing time, what have you. Not the best type of news that you want to hear as it relates to a situation like this, Dan.
Especially not when you're coming off your bye like that.
Yeah.
When you're trying to go for, a playoff push and you're kind of the key free agent that was brought in, and not even through 1 year, there's already some conflicting feelings, if you will. I'm putting that lightly. I think everyone would agree that this has been a disappointing season so far for Mekhi Becton. Now, again, there's context, right? Like the guy who's supposed to be to his right is not there. Then the guy who is supposed to be to his right was not there. And so, there's
I like how you put that. The guy who was supposed to be to his right is not there. And then the guy who was supposed to be to his right is still not there.
So, right, like it's not just him, but he's gone through some injury stuff. His performance has been up and down. You've seen some great and you've seen some terrible, but the offensive line in general has been frustrating for everybody. So what comes from this, right? Like, does this mean this is it for him? Like, are we done? Are we going to see Mekhi Becton next year? As of right now, no, I don't think so. But again, the part that I can absolutely see this team doing, and I can understand it, I can get with it, is we never got to see what the offensive line would be like with how they were strategizing for it to be constructed, right? You never got to see the mountains of Joe Alt and Mekhi Becton next to each other with Rashawn Slater on the other side. You never got to see that. Maybe they bring in a new center. That's the position we'll talk about later. I can see them running it back. Let's put it that way. But it's not great. And so hopefully this lights a fire. Hopefully that there's something that goes on. I'm sure that there's been communication with Becton in the front office and the coaching staff. This is a big week for him. And don't let this Chargers team lose this game because pitchforks will be coming. Jake, before we talk about pitchforks, we got some voicemails here we should get to. Chargers Unleashed hotline, 323-902-7586. Always leave a voicemail with your thoughts. We'll try our best to get it on the upcoming episode. First voicemail, in no particular order. Let's see what we got. We got 3 of them today, so we'll kind of sprinkle them out.
Dan Wolkenstein, I have a 100-foot bone.
Whoa. You chose a very appropriate spot to pause that voicemail, Dan. Wow. First of all, somebody has a bone to pick with Dan Wolkenstein, and apparently it's very big. But
I'm sure
that was an accident.
Are you sure this bone wants to be picked? Are you sure this bone wants to be picked, Jake?
This is how we're starting off Raiders week on Chargers Unleashed. Well done, Dan. Well done.
Pick with you. I'm reading your Twitter post. Show me 3 remaining Chargers wins. And don't tell me you didn't mean that, like, I don't think the Chargers can win 3 games here. Raiders is
angry.
He's very angry.
He is angry.
Win. Chiefs we can win. Dallas we can win. Houston we can win. Denver we can win. What are you talking about? Show me the 3 wins. Dude, How can you get excited about your team and not think that we can win 3 games in this stretch?
Wow. Okay.
Ooh, please. Love you guys.
Feet. Okay, there we go. 100 feet. Well, let's give a little bit of context here to Dan Wolkenstein's tweet, because I saw this tweet and I understand what he's talking about. Look, again, as we open up the show today, did you expect the... maybe it's just a bigger picture of the issue that has haunted the Chargers all year. And it's no secret. It's the offensive line. And when you look at games that the Chargers have either won or lost, you look at that Tennessee game without Jeffrey Simmons, without Arden Key, of what they were still able to do to Justin Herbert in that game. When you look at defensively, they had a pretty good game in terms of getting after Justin Herbert. Jacksonville came into that game as the 8th best pass rushing teams, but they weren't able to get home on their sacks prior to the Chargers game. And look at the teams that you have to go up against. Houston, Philly. I don't care. Dallas's defense is improved. It's not bottom of the barrel as it started with this season.
They just beat the 2 Super Bowl teams.
So Dan is not saying that they can't win. But outside of the Raiders game, is there any game that you know for certain is a guaranteed win? I wouldn't say that. After this Raiders game, this stretch to get to the playoffs against some of the defensive fronts that you have to play, when your offensive line has been this bad, there's no guarantees.
I understand the frustrations.
100-foot bone to pick.
100-foot bone. I get it. I get it. You could be all frustrated as you want. After this Raiders game, show me the game that they are favored to win. Do you think they're favored to beat Philly? Do you think they're favored to beat Kansas City in Kansas City?
They were to beat Houston with a worse offensive line that they played them against in the playoffs last year?
Do you think they're going to be favored to beat Cowboys with how they're trajectorying right now? Do you think they're going to be favored to beat the Broncos? I'm not saying that they can't win 3 games. I'm saying show me the 3 that you think they're going to win. That's hard. You tell me. You tell me. Like, I understand any week anyone can win. Like, I get it, right? Like, do I think the Chargers can win one of those games that they shouldn't? Probably. But, like, which ones are you confident that's going to be? And so the Chargers team, in my opinion, have to go 3-3 to get the playoffs. Currently 7-4. You got to get to 10 wins. That gives them 3 wins. Let's do that dangerous thing and assume that they win this game against the Raiders. You got 2 more. Pick 2. Whatever 2 you're going to pick, they're most likely going to be underdogs in that game. So this is going to be a tough stretch.
It's fair.
Now, I've seen a few people talk about this, and we talked about this prior to the season. And I think it's important to get back to this. The strength of schedule for this Chargers team this year versus last is night and day. The stretch they had to go up against this season is so much harder than last year. And so if they can get to 10 wins this season, given their opponents and given what they have had to go through and endure on their own team, that is a monumental win for this franchise. Monumental. Because what that will mean is not only did you beat the teams that you should beat, but you also beat many of the teams that were arguably better than yours, especially considering you're injured. Now, we're not there. We still got the 5-game stretch after the Raiders to kind of see if we get there. But if they get to 10 wins without their tackles, without their running backs, with the offensive line being atrocious, with some of the adversity they've had to go through, that is massive. And don't come to me, oh, well, they got 11 last year and 10 this year. It's not. No, like that is not how this should be looked at. Like they will have earned their right to be in this playoff push. If they get in the playoffs, to me, like that is a damn impressive statement. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to lower the bar here. But remember, the season was over when Rashawn Slater got hurt. The season was over when Omarion Hampton and Najee Harris were down. The season was over when Joe Alt got hurt, not once, but twice. The season's been over since before the season started. And somehow they're still here 7-4. So I'm riding with them. It's going to be tough sledding. Both things can be true. Breezy says Raiders, Eagles, Broncos, Cowgirls. But like, think about that. Oh, so they're going to beat the Eagles, the Broncos, and the Cowboys. So those are the three?
According to this, they'll drop to Houston and the Chiefs.
But you're confident they're going to beat the Broncos with that front, beat the Eagles with that front, and beat the Cowboys with that front.
That could be a shootout of a game.
Like, oh, if you want to be confident in those, cool. But like,
I mean, hey, I praise the confidence here. Yes. I love the fact that you're putting your stamp on it. But it is with this offensive line for what essentially the 45th combination that you've had with your starting five. Look, we haven't seen Jamari Sawyer have a starting position with this at the left tackle. Only when there's been injury has he come in. But you've seen the Joe Alts, you've seen the Austin Declises, you've seen the Trevor Pennings, and nothing has worked up to this point. And Justin Herbert is still being the most hit quarterback in the NFL. If something changes in this 6-game span to where this offensive line could just show some improvement, it doesn't have to be all of a sudden become a unit.
Agreed. Go from like an F to like a D+.
I'll take that. Because if you're able to give Justin Herbert just a little bit more protection, you know he's going to be able to make the plays. And once you get Omarion Hampton back into this running game, the way that Kamani Vidal has shown out, you can actually have a good two-headed monster at running game. You start opening up some holes for them. You just have to show me some improvement. Because it's perplexing to me, again, how you can have the moments that you've had with this offensive line performing so well against Minnesota. And maybe Bobby Hart, whenever he ends up returning, is going to be yet another offensive line combination that you're going to have because he played great against Minnesota. And it was a shame when he went down. And when you didn't have him against Pittsburgh and you had those offensive line issues rolling into there and you still performed well, your defense balled out. And I still agree with the statement that the defense is going to have to be what carries you the rest of the way here right now. You can't tell me anything for certain about the offensive line. I know that we can stand up here and know that Justin Herbert is capable of Superman moments and that he can put a team on his back and will you to a win. We've seen it already happen this season multiple times. But with this offensive line right now, you can't guarantee anything, especially with the teams that you go up against to finish this stretch.
How could you
show
be confident?
Me. Show me.
How can you be confident with this offensive line this year? Like, I'm seriously asking the question. With the offensive line and with how Greg Roman has schemed things up for the most part, again, take out that Pittsburgh game because that was incredible, impressive. But if we're being honest, that's the outlier. That's not the norm so far against good fronts. But you're Smegma 59, great name. I love that we're at least playing meaningful football going into December. Agreed.
There it is.
Nobody's
knocking the Chargers record. Nobody's knocking the Chargers record. Nobody's giving up on the season.
Yep.
But having the bye week at week 12 and to assess the way that you went into it against Jacksonville, yeah, like, hey, yeah, you had a great 4-game stretch. You went 3-1, but holy crap, was that one game a eyesore for everyone, coaches, players included. There's a lot of things that you have to improve moving forward because it just got a lot tougher.
DZ Rue 6055. Sorry if I'm messing up the name. I'm confident in those two that we have the best quarterback in the league. Hampton will be back next week. Chip all the tight ends and defense ball out. We're back to the ifs. We're back to the ifs. If the Chargers chip all the tight ends, if the defense balls out, if Justin can be the quarterback of the league, hell, even if Omarion Hampton's back next week, which we don't know. Like, yes, I agree with you. If you could tell me all those things happen, yeah, I think Chargers will win. But those are some monumental ifs we're talking about here. I don't know how that is news. Brad says, must win today. Yes, I agree. Said at the top. They got to win this one. If they don't win this one, I don't want to say it's a wrap, but Christmas wrapping paper is being folded. Abdullah 1558. I don't think anyone is confident. I think people are mad because they feel like you guys are not even giving your team a chance to win those close games. When have we said...
It's not about giving a chance. It's not about not giving a chance. Look, we'll keep it 100. We're not just going to gloss over this and keep our head up in the clouds because we're fans of this franchise. Let's not absolve them of what the issue has been all season. That has essentially been a difference maker in their wins or their losses. And when you look at the stretch that you have, and when we're talking about playoff times here, and 31 other teams know that every single win at this point matters for the teams that are still in contention for the playoffs, it's going to be tough sledding. So it's not about not having confidence. It's just about looking at things real. Like, it's going to be a tough matchup for them for these last 6 weeks of the season. There's no way around that.
This is not me not giving this Chargers team a chance. I absolutely think they have a chance to get any of these teams. They could get a win any one of these weeks. Am I confident that they will? No. I'm sorry. I'm not. If they beat the brakes off the Raiders this week, am I going to be confident they're going to go in the following week and beat the Eagles?
No. It's not going to be a needle mover.
Absolutely not.
It's not going to be a needle mover. It's like, hey, great. You went out and you handled your business. Good for you. Good divisional win. You get to 8-4, but that's not enough of an indicator or a needle mover to me to say, oh, yeah, this is going to be where everything got turned around. No.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Show me more.
Until they go out and beat a great defensive front again, I'm kind of in show me mode right now. Do I think that they could? 100%. They beat the Steelers at their own game with guys not there. Like, they could 100%. Jorge Rodriguez, number 21, just showed up in my McDonald's drive-thru order. Guaranteed dub today.
First of all, I totally believe in omens, side note, and I love stuff like this. Whatever it is that you need to get you juiced up, to give you some confidence, this is it.
Ryan Lopez, people get so mad at you guys for not being delusional.
It's all right.
But also, my optimism further boosts people's confidence.
I think that we can all agree is that we're all passionate.
Yep. Nothing wrong with being rational. Spicoli says Keenan's going off today. All right, let's get into this a little bit.
Let's talk about it.
Chargers versus Raiders. Chargers offense versus Raiders defense. What are your keys, Jake?
I mean, outside of the weapons that I think there's no secret that you should have the advantage here in terms of where Justin Herbert can go with the football.
Yep.
And who you can look to get them involved. And in truth, I'm excited because there's certain players that you have for this game that you did not have for week 2. Number one being Rondé Gadsden. You didn't have him active for this game. I'd be very interested to see how that's going to play out and how you attack the middle of the field, which obviously the Las Vegas Raiders are very susceptible to. I think collectively, it's an offensive performance. The way that, outside of the Keenan Allen incredible catch against Jacksonville, your offense was pretty much non-existent. So you know that if we're talking about the collective group of receivers and Keenan Allen, Ladd McConkey, Quentin Johnston, everybody's going to want to get a piece for this game. Dan, I would hope to God that with the adjustments that you have made in the running game, and this is where we have to give a little bit of praise for Kamani Vidal, for him holding the ship. And when everybody was talking about the Breece Hall trade rumors, he threw cold water on it. And yes, he didn't have the best performances. He was up and down at times, even in wins and losses. But in the games where he was on, he was on. And not only that, his pass blocking, he's running tough yardage. He's not running out of bounds. He is trying to run through people. So I would hope that from a running game standpoint, which we know that as it relates to Greg Roman's scheme, which that's a whole other conversation in terms of scheming for the game, making in-game adjustments, what have you, that you're able to get that going. When you have seen Kamani Vidal be involved early, and when you have seen that run game starting to produce early, the Chargers are much better in terms of getting into a rhythm. And also, and this would be a side conversation just from Jim Harbaugh's comments earlier this week, your offensive line, again, as I mentioned, is on its umpteenth combination for the season. And yet Will Dissly, your best blocking tight end, is still going to be inactive for this game. And not only that, the statement that Jim Harbaugh said, he will continue to be inactive unless there is an injury to a fullback or another tight end.
Explain that.
That one, I will not understand. I will not understand that one at all, given the way that the offensive line is playing. I understand Rondé Gadsden has emerged, but you can't tell me that right now Will Dissly does not offer more value as a blocker than Tyler Conklin does as a receiver. No. Zero. And if you like these jumbo packages that you like to run with Tucker Fisk and Matlock out there, why would you not add another one? Why would you not add your best blocking tight end that you've got on this roster, what you signed him for last year? Why would you not do that? I don't know, but collectively, Dan, there's a number of different things, offensive line, running game, that needs to get going. If you were able to get in a rhythm early, you should be able to win this game comfortably. But you got to do a much better job in terms of protecting Justin Herbert. And you know that every single week there is additional tape for defensive coordinators to look at. And mind you, the Raiders came off their own humiliating loss. Like, they had to make some coaching adjustments. They're not happy. And they will always play the Chargers stuff, and I don't give a shit what the Raiders' record is. They will always get up for this game. So, rhythm, production, Justin Herbert making better decisions, and above all else, the offensive line as a group.
Again, should this Chargers team roll this week? Yes. And we're looking at a Raiders defense that is bottom third in pressure percentage, sacks, knockdowns. They're up there a little bit, I guess, average in hurry percentage. They're among the lowest blitzing teams in the NFL. Fourth most missed tackles in the entire league. They're about average with passing and rushing yards allowed. Like, yeah, I think the Chargers offense should be able to handle this. Will they? I don't know. I don't know. Chargers offense generally is pretty good on third down.
I'll ask, not 2 weeks ago, but generally they were.
Yes.
Or they are.
Generally, yes. I'm trying to find the Raiders while we're doing this. The third down percentage, Raiders are fifth worst, or I should say fifth highest percentage of third downs allowed in the NFL. 43% of them. Advantage Chargers. So, Chargers offense versus the Raiders defense, like, to me, it's if you can keep Max Crosby in that front from wrecking this game, it should be I don't want to say cakewalk, but it should be a relatively smooth win. But again, it's a big effing if, given this Chargers offensive line, and given you're going up against Max Crosby. Can we see the launch point moving a bit for Justin? Can we see him moving around a little bit more, right? I listened to Chargers Weekly. Shout out to Chris Harry. And he brought up an awesome point. And normally, it's weird because normally when you think about Chargers or think about quarterbacks, the scrambling quarterback to kind of worry about getting injured. But with Justin, I believe, and I think this is what Chris Harry was referring to, that Justin is safer outside the pocket than he is inside the pocket. Past like a second and a half. So how can you make an offense revolve around that? That's what I'm hoping to see. Like, yes, you need a run game, right? That needs to be established. But get those now routes, the smoke screens, get the tight end screens, get the end arounds, get Justin kind of moving outside the pocket and allow him to dictate the offense versus getting bum rushed by the defensive front.
See, everything that you just said right there, Dan, is absolutely true. But this is, again, showing you how bad the offensive line is. Remember last year, the Chargers ran play action more than any other team in the league. And on these patented bootlegs that we know that Justin Herbert is lethal on, you haven't seen him be able to run much of that. Why? Because the offensive line is so bad. When was the last time that they actually ran a productive jet sweep? You can't do it because there's no time in order to allow it to develop. Your offensive lineman can't get down enough to block anybody. So yes, you can try to come up with this type of game plan to have, but you have not been able to execute it properly because your offensive line is literally that bad.
And that's why, like, I know play action is very effective with a good run game, but we have seen it just get obliterated too often. Like, I don't even want to play that game. Like, get the ball out of his hands quick and live to die another day. Like, I think you could score a couple touchdowns, a couple field goals, low 20s, win the game, and Justin not throwing a single deep pass. Period. Like, would I love to see the deep pass, the play action shot for 60? Sure. But that welcomes in Max Crosby to absolutely light up your quarterback.
Yeah, if Justin Herbert actually had protection for a 5 to 7 step drop, you might see it.
Thank you.
But we've seen quarterback malpractice sprinkled in throughout this season when Justin Herbert is getting annihilated and Greg Roman still is running 5 to 7 step drops. Like, what the hell?
Yes. Happy holidays, Dan and Jake, from Brad Spicoli, $1.99 donation. Thank you. Happy holidays to you. Beezy says he sees Tre Harris 2 touchdowns and 103 yards. That'd be fun.
I like the bold prediction.
That'd be fun.
Go for it.
Jason asks, is there a chance that Disley's actually hurt, but we can't afford to put anybody else on IR, so they're just making him a healthy scratch? Yes. Possible. I mean, that seems more likely than them not wanting to bring in a blocking tight end to help their crippled offensive line. So, yeah. Yes. Do you think Trey Pipkins or Bobby Hart will start today? No.
Wait, were you saying no to one of them, or were you asking?
Oh, sorry. No to Bobby Hart.
Okay.
So I think it's Trey Pipkins and Jamar Sawyer.
Again, this is what's insane, because I haven't forgotten leading back up to that Minnesota game. Does everybody remember when Trey Pipkins was out a few games for the season and Bobby Hart was your starting right tackle? And when it wasn't that good of a performance, and then you heard the word that Trey Pipkins was back at practice and that everything was gearing up for him to start, and then before that Minnesota game, Bobby Hart was named the starter, and all of us were scratching our heads going, what the hell? And Bobby Hart had a terrific game.
Shut everybody up.
This is what this offensive line has done to this fan base. Questions like this, because I personally would love to see Bobby Hart back in this starting lineup. I really would, because I've seen plenty of years of Trey Pipkins. And no disrespect, I'm looking forward to not following this season. Something's got to improve. But this is what this offensive line has done to this fan base. When you see just a semblance of a good performance, because every single time you think, well, it can't get worse. It can't get worse, right? For that short period of time, it couldn't get any worse than Austin Deckles. So you go out and you make a trade for Trevor Penning. It can't get any worse. No, it got worse because Trevor Penning was benched for Austin Deckles. This is the offensive line for the Chargers in 2025, and this is the spiral that it has sent Justin Herbert and this fan base to just say, just give me mediocre. Whatever that is, put that in the starting lineup.
Jake, is right up your alley. Not to jump ahead, but any offensive lineman do you have your eye on for the upcoming drafts?
Yeah. The real question is, look, the free agency is going to dictate everything. And once again, the Chargers are going to have one of the largest cap availability. So I definitely think, especially when you look at the way that the Chicago Bears were so impressive or aggressive in terms of getting their front three, their interior three stabilized. I think after this, and essentially after 2 years now of seeing what you've had at guard and at center, there's going to be some changes that Joe Ortiz's hand is going to have to be forced on. So I think from free agency standpoint, you're going to see the Chargers be aggressive with that. There's no way that you can do this twice. But from the draft standpoint, absolutely. Logan Jones out of Iowa is one of the best offensive one of the best offensive lines in all of college football. Big Vega out of Penn State, Emmanuel Pregnon out of Oregon. Those are probably going to be your top two guard targets if it gets that far in terms of implementing more, which again, you look at this now, the Chargers could essentially have 3 different offensive linemen out of the 5. Your entire interior could be different next year.
You'd argue they should.
I mean, there's good enough of a reason that it should be changed. There's no guarantee for Zion Johnson. They didn't pick up his 5th year of his contract before the season started. There's no guarantee there still. But there should be changes at center, no question about it. And the direction that this Mekhi Becton thing is heading right now, yeah, there's going to be some major changes.
Folks in the chat, let's help out Gilberto. On my way to my first ever NFL game live. Any advice? If it's the game at SoFi, go to the Pink Lot for sure. Get there well ahead of time. Enjoy some of the food, some of the fun, some of the people out there. But yeah, folks in the chat, you've been to a game. Give them some advice. Jake, let's switch it over real quick. Chargers defense versus the Raiders offense. Before I talk about those real quick, let's talk about our friends over at Brunt.
So Brunt, for those of you who know, was tired of the workwear brands out there cutting corners. You work too hard to be stuck in uncomfortable boots that don't hold up. So they built something better. Boots that are insanely comfortable and built for any job site. For a limited time, our listeners get $10 off at Brunt when you use the code LAFB at checkout. Just head on over to bruntworkwear.com, use the promo code LAFB, and you're good to go. And after your order, they will ask you where you heard about Brunt. Do us a favor and tell us of them. It was this show. Things that make, definitely things that make your feet feel better. Go to bruntworkwear.com and tell them once again that Chargers Unleashed sent you.
All right, well, Chargers defense versus the Raiders offense. To me, there are 2 guys that you're worried about. 2 guys only. Of course, I say that and something else is going to happen. But you look at Brock Bowers and you look at Ashton Genty. I would imagine with a new offensive coordinator, they're going to try to get the ball to those 2 guys because that's what the entire fan base in Las Vegas has been wanting. And you would imagine with your 2 best players being those 2, that's what they should do. Jake, Chargers defense. To me, this is like, stop the run game. You got this game in the bag. Just stop the run game. Like, please stop the run game.
Let's go back to week 2 for a second because the defense was in its bag against the Raiders in week 2. And this was after Khalil Mack goes down with the elbow injury that he suffered. Derwin James stepped up big time for this game late in that game, making just an incredible play for that led to an interception. You won the turnover battle in this game. You were still able to get to Geno Smith. Yes, they didn't really have Brock Bowers as a healthy Brock Bowers in that game, so I'm sure that limited their offense a little bit, and that's obviously going to change. But now you look at what this Chargers defense has, And coming off of a loss like that in Jacksonville, I would assume, if you remember the comments from Khalil Mack after that Jacksonville game, pissed off. And if we know what history has told us, when Khalil Mack goes up against the Raiders, he gets up for that game. And now you've got Khalil Mack healthy again. You've got Tuli, who is rounding out into a very, very nice season for himself. You have Odafe Owe, who you traded for, who you did not end up having for that week 2 matchup. You've got some younger guys in the secondary that have obviously changed from what it was during week 2, but that have performed very admirably. If I remember correctly, you also didn't have Denzel Perryman for that week 2 matchup. So there's a lot of changes defensively that the Chargers have. And again, they should be coming in here with Jesse Minter alike with a pissed off attitude in order to, as Dan said, find ways to take away Brock Bowers, limit Ashton Jeanty at best. Even in a losing effort, Jeanty still had some impressive runs against a much better run defense in the Cleveland Browns last week. But you do that, you force Geno Smith into some mistakes, which obviously he has shown that he is more than capable of. The Raiders' offensive line has almost as many problems as the Chargers' offensive line right now. So you should be able to find matchups to exploit there as well. Get back to the pass rush that Jesse Minter likes to do. This should be tailor-made for a Jesse Minter type game. But
Raiders' second fewest rushing yards per game in the NFL. Raiders.
I would assume it has to deal with playing from behind a lot.
8th fewest
more than anything else.
Okay, well then how about this? 8th fewest passing yards per game.
Oofa.
Third lowest yards per game total. Only ahead of the Titans and the Browns are these Las Vegas Raiders so far.
There should be no reason with the attitude that your team is coming into right now for this game that you should be keeping this game close. But again, if this was still Chip Kelly's offense, my confidence would probably be a lot higher. I don't know what this offense is going to look like for the Raiders. I don't know what they're going to scheme up. I read some of those stories about what the Chip Kelly offense was doing, and it was like, what? Are you talking about calling your own plays? Like, what is this? So there was dysfunction, apparently, between coach and coordinator alike. That's never a winning formula for a team when you're going out there.
Nope.
So, yeah, this should be a Jesse Minter special in the bigger picture of things.
Second most sacks allowed in the NFL are these Las Vegas Raiders. 4th highest sack percentage is this Raiders offense. Again, this should be a feasting game for Minter and company. I'm going to leave it at that. Again, any given Sunday, right? Like we've talked about this for ad nauseum here, but this should be a pretty darn good matchup for this Chargers defense. Las Vegas Raiders, 3rd down percentage conversion, 36.2. That's 8th lowest in the NFL. So
get back to the defense that was only allowing 8.6 points per game before that Jacksonville game. Show me that defense.
There's lots of reason why, to Waylon's point, our defense balls out today. There's lots of reasons to be confident in that. And I'm with you on that. This is hilarious. Can't believe there's a billion of obese people in the world, and the Chargers can't find 5 of them good enough to block for Herbert. Herbert will be in savage mode today. Mac always goes super mode versus old team. Agreed. Waylon asks, does Mac retire after this year? No.
I think so. Oh, you don't think so? I was about to say that I think so.
No, I don't think so. Spicoli says timeout. His pizza just got here. It's 9:20. Jeez. Jake, let's get to voicemail real quick. Got about 5-10 minutes left here. Let's get to a voicemail, and then we'll get to our predictions. Next voicemail.
Hi, guys. Hello, Dan and Jake. Happy Thanksgiving. Hope you had a good time, great time with your families.
Be good if I could hear it, Dan. There we go.
This is Mike from Missouri. I don't think I sound like Matthew McConaughey this time, but I'm just saying. Anyway, listen to another broadcast. You probably listened to it, the Believe in Chargers broadcast with Matt Money Smith and Lorenzo Neal. And they talked me down off the ledge, if you know what I'm talking about. So, yeah, I still think if we just utilize our talent the way that it is.
Did you hear the F?
We could actually make the playoffs and maybe even win a game. Bobby Hart coming back, giving the new guy Penny some help, putting maybe Sawyer over at tackle, working at it, you know. Leaving a tight end or having one of the real tackles go into the game reporting as a tight end, and he's just a sixth lineman. It could work. There's other problems, but Herbert.
Are you sure you were talked off the ledge? you don't sound as confident as someone who was just talked off the ledge.
No. Again, look, lots of ifs. Thanks for the call, Mike, Missouri. Do I think this Chargers team can get to the playoffs and win a game? Yes. Am I confident in that? No. Sorry. Last voicemail.
Dan, I just want
to. Okay. All right.
to say this. I want to start out being nice.
I'm sorry.
What?
I'm going to tell you, I want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving to you.
Oh. A fear with the pleasantries. It's going to be one of those like compliment sandwiches.
Where I talk about something good and then talk about where you need improvement.
And something good again.
You and your family and your loved ones, and then Happy New Year and Merry Christmas.
I'm waiting for the shoe.
So am I.
Now, I wanted to say this to you, Dan. Please, keep Justin Herbert name off your mouth.
What's happening?
Why? Are we about to defend his stellar performance against the Jacksonville Jaguars?
Talk about Justin Herbert. Because your boy, number 17, had a stacked roster, LT in his prime, Gates in his prime, great defense, great offensive line, and he choked. When we had the best record in the NFL, he choked in the playoffs.
Who is he talking to?
I think he's talking to you, claiming
no, I know,
that
but like,
Rivers was your boy, first of all. But strange stray to throw the old franchise of the Chargers under the bus like that. What the hell?
Okay? When Justin Herbert have these kind of players, you will see the result. And that is winning the Super Bowl title.
He acts like I am a Herbert slanderer here. Thanks for the call, Athir. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours too, my friend.
At least
love you, my baby.
That. At least he started with that.
Yes.
Not as bad as traditional voicemails from Athir. So compliment sandwich. There it was. It still doesn't make sense to me from the standpoint of Dan Wolkenstein keeping Justin Herbert's name out of his mouth while also slandering the Phillip Rivers-led Chargers. What was the reason also, by the way?
No idea.
Yeah, I don't get it.
No idea. Back off the crack pipe, says Tony Reyes. And Abdullah says, don't disrespect Phillip Rivers. Michael says, I'm off the ledge, Jake, as I'm not expecting as much. But crazy, as now I think we might solve enough problems to win enough.
Michael, I hope that you're right. I just need to see it first. And yes, you went 3-1 in that stretch of 4 games, but that Jacksonville loss threw people into a spiral. And in truth, we talked about this. We talked about this leading up to. I mean, after the Houston loss in the playoffs last year, there were a lot of things that masked how bad the offensive line was prior to that Houston game.
Yep,
Houston illuminated those problems. Your offensive line today, entering week 13 of the 2025 NFL season, there has been no masking at all throughout this entire year.
You're winning in
it
spite
has been
of.
historically bad.
Yep.
Historically bad. And you are telling me that you're going to make an attempt with the games that you have left on your schedule to make a playoff push. I hope that this bye week did something collectively to everyone as a group. But I haven't seen it yet. If there's one thing that you could tell me to say, okay, yeah, the offensive line showed a good performance. I can go back to week 1 and 2 when it was the strength of this team, when Joe Alt was there, and I can go to that Minnesota game. That's pretty much it to where I can hang my hat on the offensive line doing their job. And those 3 games that I just mentioned all had Joe Alt in them. I don't know what's going to happen. I hope you're right.
All right, Jake. Bold predictions, final score predictions. Let's get after it.
Bold prediction. Okay, it's been a minute since I've had to do one of these. Something's telling me to go on the defensive side of the ball. I don't think you're going to see a repeat of the Daiyan Henley flu game that we saw in week 2, but I think this team is good for getting after Geno Smith for 5 sacks today. After what they gave up to Cleveland, and yes, they don't have Myles Garrett on their team, but they gave up 10 sacks last week. I think this Chargers team is good enough, with as bad as the offensive line is, for the Raiders to at least collectively get 5.
5 sacks. I like it. I kind of like someone mentioned earlier the Keenan breakout game. This is definitely a Keenan style game, or a Gadsden style game,
or a Ladd game. Like,
I'm gonna be insanely bold here. I think Chargers give up 1 sack.
That's a better bold prediction.
1 sack. Call me an optimist. Call me smoking the hopium, whatever you want.
And I'm going to assume it's not
prediction.
Jamar Sawyer giving up that sack.
I hope. I mean, actually, yes.
Really?
I hope it is Jamari Sawyer and only Jamari Sawyer that gives the sack. That's fine. Because you know what that means? That's fine. I'm fine with that.
It means the other 4 actually did their job. Yeah,
Yes.
That's something.
Yes. 28-15 says, can't even pronounce that name. 24-20. Everyone's putting the Chargers as winning. Fear the Bolts, 31-17 Chargers. Optimism from me. Yes. 23-10.
I've got 24-17.
24-17 from Jake. $23-16 Chargers, as I'll put this. But man, 31-10 says Girthy Guitarist. We'll see. Jake, anything else you want to get to? We got football happening here in about half an hour. Chargers start at 1:25. So got about 4 hours till then. Folks driving to SoFi, have fun, be safe, FTR, all that stuff. Jake, anything else you want to talk about before we get out of here?
No, once again, we apologize for getting our preview show out to you later than expected for this week. Obviously, the holidays had something to do with it, but we appreciate everybody tuning in on a football Sunday. The Chargers, as Dan mentioned, just kick off here in a few hours. Always enjoy these live shows with you guys. Your calls, your comments, your questions definitely makes this show worth doing on a week in to week out basis. And hopefully we'll be talking to you early next week and having it as a Victory Monday. So back to Chargers football after the bye week. Let's get it going for a playoff push.
An 8-4 week going into Monday night against the Eagles would be fun. Let's make it happen. I hope that we can be here Monday talking about it, because, boy, I think I'm going to that game as well.
I'll be going to Eagles too.
Let's go. For Jake, I'm Dan. It's Chargers Unleashed. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We'll talk to you next time. Go Chargers. Let's get the dub by any means necessary. I don't care if it's 3-2. Just get the damn win. Until next time, we'll talk to you later on the next Chargers Unleashed.